Hello there, and welcome to another Loofy vlog. I am Seleuf the Floofy Loofy, and today I'll be talking about Mary Sue's. Or Gary Stew if it's a dude, or Auntie Sue if it's... we'll get to that. Mary Sue. I see this term thrown around a lot, sometimes justifiably and sometimes misplaced. But strangely enough, even in a lot of the justified cases, it's inaccurately presented as a bullet point list. Hear me out. Oh, this character can do all these amazing things. What a Mary Sue. Except most protagonists do amazing things. That's why the story follows them. There are a ton of characters who, when reduced to a bullet point list of perks and flaws, would be considered a Mary Sue, but are never referred to as such. Quite the contrary, they're nigh on universally loved. So why is that? I've spent a long time thinking about this. Several years, in fact, and I've come to the conclusion that it really isn't a matter of what the character can or can't do. It's all about how they're written. It doesn't matter if the character is an expert fighter, fluent in 27 languages, cooks like a 5-star chef, and is caring, compassionate, and amazing in the sack. What matters is if you write the character exactly like that summary, or if you actually write a proper and intriguing character who has reasons for what they can or cannot do. For example, 27 languages seems out there for a regular Joe, but if he's a language professor, or lives and travels in a world where there is no common language, it makes a lot more sense. Cooks like a 5-star chef as a phrase is a red flag of Sueism, but cooking itself can be done in ways that are simple yet delicious and can also be a way for characters to bond. And that segues into another aspect of the Mary Sue versus a decent character. Mary Sues are all about themselves, and everyone around them loves them without any reason, and anyone who does not love them are automatically villains who hate them and are wrong. Meanwhile, a decent character bothers to get to know other characters and bond with them over activities such as cooking or reading or other shared interests. Like real people, decent characters have and share their interests, and befriend each other because of common ground. And they don't necessarily get along with everyone, but that doesn't mean that the other person is wrong or a villain. Sometimes people just don't get along. It happens. Also, like real people, even characters who are the best of friends can disagree with each other on certain points. They're not friends because they're exact mirrors of each other, or because one worships the ground the other walks on. They're friends because they have enough in common to want to hang out, and ideally, at least for the reader's interest, they are dissimilar enough to either complement each other's strengths or challenge each other's opinions. Or both. This is why a lot of characters who check off most of the boxes in a Mary Sue bullet point list can still be viewed by a vast majority as good characters, while Mary Sues remain Mary Sues even when they are given flaws, like being unable to cook, or incurably clumsy, or always get terrible grades in school. And yet somehow never have to worry about their future. Speaking of Sues with flaws, this is also why an Anti-Sue is still a Sue character. The Anti-Sue strives to be the complete opposite of a Mary Sue. The Mary Sue is good at everything, the Anti-Sue is good at nothing. Things always work out for the Mary Sue, things always go horribly for the Anti-Sue. The Mary Sue gets a happy ending, the Anti-Sue just narrowly escapes death, only because we want to keep writing, but is a million times worse off each time this happens. Surely this can't be considered a Sue character now. It's nothing like a Mary Sue. Except, as I noted earlier, it's not about what the character can or cannot do, it's about how they're written, and the Anti-Sue is written just as poorly as the Mary Sue, but without a single redeeming feature. So while with the Mary Sue you're sat there thinking, this is so unrealistic, nobody is this flawless and capable and universally loved for no good reason, with the Anti-Sue you're sat there thinking, this is so unrealistic, this character should by all rights be dead before the story even starts. How have they not been killed yet? And in both cases, the reader wants them to die. Horribly. Unfortunately, this does mean that a bullet point list of perks and flaws cannot save you from writing a Sue character, no matter how you try to balance it. Although it can be an invaluable tool for remembering what your character can or cannot do for the sake of consistency in your story. To avoid writing a Mary Sue, pay attention to people, both real and fictional. Try to understand why people think and act the way they do, and what about someone's behavior or personality makes them liked or despised. Listen to what other people have to say, as their words will give you insight into ways of thinking other than your own. And most importantly, remember that your main character is not your only character. This process of building a decent and believable character needs to be applied, to some degree, to every person in your story. Everyone who gets a mention, a descriptive line, has a name, takes an action, whatever they do needs a motivation, however simple. That sounds like a lot of work. Are you sure it's important? Yes, because the Mary Sue lives in a world that revolves around her, where no one else matters at all, and all interactions with other characters exist only to serve the Sue. If even your most throwaway character has something to them that is independent of the main character, it makes the world itself that much more alive, and makes it seem like this is a world your main character lives in, rather than a persisting daydream that exists only to serve your main character's whims. To be clear, I'm not saying every human-shaped figure in your story needs an entire character sheet or essay written about them. Just something, anything, a shred of individuality to imply they are not just a cardboard cutout but have their own life separate from the main character. She has a dog. He needs to get home to his family. She really likes tea. He has a good sense of humor. Just anything that exists purely for them and not for your main character or your plot. Chances are they're already serving your plot with their mere existence, so the least you can do is give them something that is all theirs. And that's all I've got for you today. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, click like. If you enjoyed it a lot, consider sharing it around and subscribing to my channel. It really helps me out a lot and would make my day. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and DeviantArt for all sorts of updates and unique content. While the most important stuff reaches all of them, I do post a lot of different things on each platform, so it's definitely worth following me on more than one. Links in the description below. Off and away!